A roundup of this week's top property and PropTech news in partnership with Proptech-X, written by Andrew Stanton. Before we get to their headlines, I would just like to say a huge thank you to the team at estateagentnetworking.co.uk for this trial week of reading the news. I've certainly enjoyed myself, and a big shout out to Chris and Oliver Walkie and of course Andrew Stanton for the opportunity. Have you enjoyed it though? Please let us know. You can email l@elwood.co.uk and give me some constructive feedback. Has there been too much news? Has there not been enough news? Or would maybe just the Friday roundup be sufficient? If there's anything that you'd like me to know about, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And of course, if you've got any digital marketing questions, writing questions, or process training questions to help your estate agency make more profit and for you to lead an easier life, don't hesitate to get in touch on l@elwood.co.uk. And now the headlines. Alison Levitt QC releases RICS independent review. Will Code Jute become the national grid for real estate? Boris backs building 300,000 new homes. Aylesbury Property Centre by Heart to open by month end. And Let Alliance strides further into the digital age. So our first story today. Alison Levitt QC releases RICS independent review. Alison Levitt QC, the person tasked with conducting an independent review into the RICS scandal, has released a 467-page report. A post on the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors website reads, "The report finds that the origins of what went wrong lay in the governance architecture of RICS, a lack of clarity about the roles and responsibilities of the boards, the senior leadership, and the management left cracks within which the chief executive and his chief operating officer had become used to operating with little effective scrutiny." It continues, although they believed they were acting in the best interests of RICS, they were resistant to being challenged. When non-executive members of the management board insisted that they should have sight of internal audit reports and refused to back down, it became a them or us situation. It carries on. The report concludes that this was not a cover-up, as much as a power struggle. The executive used the governance structure as a fig leaf for its actions and showed a collective failure of common sense in allowing the situation to escalate unnecessarily. RICS was not well served by its lawyers, who should have given objective advice, but saw their role as being to protect the executive. It carries on that Ms. Levitt entirely exonerates the 4 non-executives dismissed from the board and says they would have failed RICS if they had backed down. Our second headline. Will Code Jute become the national grid for real estate? For the last 3 years, Code Jute has quietly been gathering momentum. As part of its strategy, the blockchain-driven solution has been integrating with leading real estate CRMs, think Reapit and Desres, stalwarts of the agency verticals. It has just announced that it is now integrating with Rex, Agent Hub, Vico and Power bespoke software providers as it increases its digital reach. Steve Dawkins, CRO at Code Jute, explains that it intends to knit together all the moving parts of real estate with Code Jute as a facilitator, connecting CRM platforms to other parties in the property market. Dawkins said, "Code Jute delivers real efficiencies to busy estate agents who have better things to do. There is greater transparency, a reduced risk of fraud, and an accelerated process with significantly less admin. Conveyancers will be able to protect sensitive client data by Code Jute's encrypted network." Andrew says that he was amazed the other day to see a senior in the legal sector opine that in 20 years, blockchain will be the keystone technology, facilitating everything from smart contracts to a huge portion of legal processes. The legal professional even mentioned the millions of disputes that Amazon was concluding using AI rather than having storerooms of physical files. We at Proptech PR and Proptech-X have been following John Reynolds, Dan Salmons and Steve Dawkins and the CodeJute team since their startup. With the present hiatus where the pandemic has allowed a breathing space and a point of reflection on how real estate is done, it might just be that CodeJute is very much in the right place at the right time. It is fascinating to see how this will play out. Do you think blockchain will be the de facto operating system of global real estate? CodeJute delivers real efficiencies to busy estate agents who have better things to do. Next, Boris backs building 300,000 new homes. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has come out in support of Housing Secretary Robert Jenrick, confirming the target of 300,000 new build properties a year across all housing verticals will be achieved. However, the stark reality is that the materials required to fulfil just the usual 178,000 new homes are now in short supply. Stuart Law, CEO of Assets Capital, said in Development Finance Today, difficulties accessing raw materials, labour shortages, increased transportation costs and the realities of post-Brexit trade have resulted in the perfect storm for the construction industry. He continued that with private house builders starting to feel the strain more recently, these issues must not be ignored given the potential knock-on effects a significant decrease in housing construction would have on the wider market. He continues, with expectations that house price growth will pick up pace again over the remainder of the year and well into 2022, shortages in new housing stock will only serve to inflate prices further, possibly outstripping the record levels seen this spring, which would be very disappointing for many first-time buyers and those looking to upsize in the near future. Andrew Stanton writes, supply chains for raw materials around the world have been decimated by the pandemic. Natural disasters such as the fires in North America have also caused a shortage of softwood. The delivery times for basic materials have slowed the pace on both domestic and commercial buildings. And it is not only HGV drivers that are in short supply. Skills shortages in the trades that new home builders rely upon are now once again scarce, leading to wage inflation, just like we're seeing with the aforementioned HGV drivers. For all their proselytising, Johnson & Jenrick's lofty ambition to deliver 300,000 new builds is certain to come back down to earth with a resounding thud. Our next story is Aylesbury Property Centre by Heart to open by month end. Nowadays, it appears as though there are more types of estate agency models than ever before. Gone are the days where there were two models of being an agent. Model 1 was a huge corporate behemoth like Countrywide. Model 2 was the independent agent, hyper-localised with a local team. Now we have online agents with no premises and no perimeter, like Purple Bricks and Strike, or franchise-type agents, some with offices and others without, like Keller Williams or EXP. In Aylesbury, about an hour north of London, we will soon be seeing Spicer Hart's newest incarnation of the estate agency, the Aylesbury Property Centre by Heart. This model sees employed agents based at home who utilise a localised property centre. This new idea, dreamt up by the Spicer Hart team during the lockdown, hopes that as many as 250 new agents will jump on board across the UK in similar hubs. Sure, new initiatives are great, but the increasingly tech-savvy public is doing property themselves. So what will be the final version of the modern agency look like by the end of the decade? Will we see artificial intelligence and machine learning-led agencies, or a network of property centres full of humans tapping away at keyboards? Finally, the Let Alliance strides further into the digital age. Andy Halstead, CEO of Let Alliance, has just unveiled yet another offering where the digital transformation of manual processes are automated and the validation of who you're dealing with and their actual financial status is now transparent as a result of open banking. It has been reported that the new Vision Plus portal will still have a sprinkle of human in it, but it will make all of those repetitive processes and tasks move forward at pace. It is increasingly the case that the lettings vertical seems to be moving forward by leaps and bounds, while the residential agency seems slow to adopt. Yes, residential agents love their CRMs, but there is so much more digital kit out there that could eliminate those tedious, repetitive processes day after day. It is time to get off that hamster wheel and let SaaS do all of that. If you have a view and you'd like to share it with us, please let us all know by emailing Andrew at editor@estateagentnetworking.co.uk. Andrew Stanton, Executive Editor, Moving Property and Proptech Forward. Look forward to hearing from you too with comments about this week's news video trial. l@elwood.co.uk. Have a great weekend.